Luke Lilledahl suffered his first career collegiate loss, but then Penn State rattled off 9 wins in a row to make another top 15 opponent look like an absolute nobody.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day. My name is Zach Seyko. I'm your host of the show, and this is a live show reacting to Penn State's win over Rutgers. And what a win it was. Now we're going to begin with Luke Lilledahl, and now it's out of the way. First career collegiate loss, how he goes about it from there. But Josh Barr had an emphatic victory right in the final. So going through these results as Penn State wins 35-3, if you missed that one. And they got Iowa next week as well. So bring your comments in the live chat and we'll talk about it all right here, starting with Luke Lilledahl. I don't put a lot of stock into this one. I just think that at the end of the day, Dean Peterson gets the final takedown. And as a senior veteran, eventually this was going to catch up to Luke Lilledahl. That was my initial thought process because a lot of these matches have gone this way, whether this is a way to test him early on, or if whatever the coaching staff is trying to learn about Luke Lilledahl or have him learn for the postseason, just seems like too many of these matches go this way, and eventually one of them was not going to break in his favor. And that happened to be Dean Peterson. So don't look at the ranking. Peterson is still a high-quality wrestler. He should be. Honestly, these two might meet again in the Big Ten tournament. Who knows? Maybe even NCAAs. So Luke Lilledahl has the chance to get his revenge, but it was a 4-1 takedown in the final seconds. It looked like Lilledahl was going to be able to get away from the shot attempt, but Peterson, just being larger than Lilledahl, was able to grab that ankle and secure the takedown. So I feel like to an extent Lilledahl has kind of been playing with a little bit of luck in this case, because this isn't the only match that has gone this way. Of course, Caleb Smith against Nebraska, it seems to be working for him. I would just like to see Luke Lilledahl push the pace a little more. Again, if the coaching staff is telling him something different, if they are trying to get him to work through some things, so it's a matter about the experience, because this loss at the end of the day doesn't impact how he's going to do at Big Tens, how he's going to do at NCAAs. None of that matters. I think this is an absolute teachable moment. Maybe it takes a little bit of pressure off of him, because I know that he's not thinking 4 years, but he was undefeated. And my point being is that this shouldn't impact him in any sort of way. So if anything, it's a learning experience. It's a teachable moment for the coaching staff. It will take some pressure off of him as well. But I would like to see him be the aggressor a little more often than not, unless that's how he's going to approach these duels, these matches, where he's going to kind of wait, and it's a chess match. That's just not my personal preference. I criticize Braden Davis for the exact same thing. I feel like Luke Lilledahl, just from what he's done at the World Championships and all these other accolades that he's accomplished, that he's the scoring machine. So where is it? Where is that kind of wrestling style from a Luke Lilledahl? That's what I would like to see, because we certainly saw that from Josh Barr. So Lilledahl was the only loss of the night. Peterson, 4-1 takedown. Peterson ran right to social media. If you missed that post, I'm not going to read it for you, so you can go find it yourself. But Peterson, I think that's Bush League. You literally run the second you get off the mat, you go straight to your phone to post to X that you beat the Penn State faster than lightning, and then a nice little hashtag in there. So, good for Peterson. But hey, the rest of your team didn't back up your victory, because after that, 9 straight wins for Penn State wrestling. Some, dominant more so than others. I want to talk about Josh Barr, because that one was scoreless going to the third period. And this is something that people have pointed out, myself included, about Josh Barr. In the third period, he is still as close to 100%. And I think that's what's going to be the difference for Josh Barr, is the stamina, is the endurance that he has going up against these opponents. I mean, to go from something that was scoreless, and then he gets the takedown, the escape, and then the takedown, it's 4-0. And then he didn't hit a fifth gear. He didn't even hit a sixth gear. He went beyond that And it went from, okay, he's going to get a decision victory here, right? This is solid. This is Poznansky is a good wrestler. This is a solid challenge. He gave him everything that he could handle, but Barr's still clearly in a different category. No, Barr was even in a better category than that and ended up winning 22-6. So it's that ability of Barr to be able to outlast the opponent, but then hit that extra gear in crunch time. When you're in the final 60 seconds and it is tied and you are going up against one of those top 5 wrestlers, of course, we're really going to find out against a Stephen Buchanan next week of Iowa at 197. That's going to be an absolute showdown, but that is going to play into the favor of Josh Barr. I like his stamina. I like his endurance. And it's going to pay off. He's just such a hammer defensively. Really, it is already tough to score points on him as it is. But when Josh Barr's offense isn't really going for him, if he's able to outlast his opponent like that and win a couple of those matches 4-1 or what have you, that's going to be the difference there for Josh Barr. So very, very exciting stuff to see at 197. People continually to be surprised. It doesn't surprise it. It's outstanding to see, but it doesn't surprise me. I walk away from that match saying, "Oh, this is just who Josh Barr is. He is capable of that." But there are still people that don't understand just how good Josh Barr is, that he's not a fringe All-America contender anymore. This is somebody that should be expected to advance at least to the NCAA semifinal and contend for a championship. I really think that AJ Ferrari, Stephen Buchanan, and Josh Barr would be that third one, and that's just kind of by proxy because he's the redshirt freshman. I will give credence to Ferrari and Buchanan simply because they are veterans, but I like what I've seen from Josh Barr. I think everybody has on the Penn State side of it to say that, there's Cardenas as well over at Michigan, but that top 4, I don't think there's a closer top 4 in any other weight class than 197. So Josh Barr made this a lot more interesting, that AJ Ferrari was going to run away with the 197 pound class. And that's just not the case, but he gets a massive test next week against Iowa. So it'll be intriguing to see how that one goes. Some other rapid reactions here. At the lower weights, these were the ones that the 125 and 133 were going to be the ones in question. Like I said, I anticipated that Luke Lilledahl would win. I thought he was going to win. He's going to be the favorite in that one. He just knocked off a top 6 wrestler in Caleb Smith at Nebraska a week ago. So surely this stage is no different here. But like I said, it's almost like a 50-50 thing, and you're kind of leaving it up to chance at that point. Just want to see him be a little more aggressive. But Davis with a bounce-back victory. That's another top 10 matchup. Dylan Chauver, back and forth. I mean, it's not the most exciting in the world. It's certainly a rock fight, but Davis to go into the second period and Dylan Chauver to not be able to escape. I know that Davis ended up surrendering a stall warning point, and that's how Chauver got that one. But a top 10 wrestler, and you did not let him escape for the full 2 minutes there in the second period. And then that's you had the riding time advantage, and then you were able to get the escape. And that's Davis's name of the game. To control the tempo, to really slow it down. Again, I'd like to see a little more offensive intensity. But in those ones, more often than not, Davis has been able to secure these close ones, these rock fights. Nasir Bailey, of course. And again, Ryan Crookham, I hate to see that he's out for the season. Don't want to miss that aspect of the competition. That just makes it more exciting. I don't want that to be Braden Davis's avenue, that, top ranked wrestlers are missing, so now Davis by default is going to get further into the postseason. No, I want Davis to earn it. I want all these guys to earn it. But that one against Ryan Crookham, I have seen improvement from Braden Davis compared to his freshman season, as should be expected. But it is good to see tangible results and examples that you can point to that, hey, Braden Davis is capitalizing on his mistakes from a season ago. He looks like a better wrestler. He looks more like a veteran wrestler rather than somebody that's trying to learn lessons along the way. I think that's kind of where Luke Lilledahl is right now. I mean, right? No, it's not like a go figure. He's a true freshman. He's going to have to make adjustments and move on from there. So 35-3, but I think those were the most important matches of the night, the most telling matches between Luke Lilledahl, Josh Barr, and Braden Davis. There were certainly some other results, as Shane Van Ness had something to prove clearly with a major decision Mitchell Messenbrink, status quo as usual. Carter Starachi, status quo as usual. I mean, he's in a category by himself. Parker Kukaisen's going to be the only one to challenge him at 184, but a top 20 wrestler, and you just casually tech fall him, right? And Greg Kirkfleet got into a rock fight. We'll use that term again against Slavakuski. And Slavakuski was going for it at the end. He tried a couple major throws there, was like, I'm going to go for it because I have an opportunity to get a takedown. And that's usually one that, Kirkfleet would. So I won't read too much into that. I think that's just one where maybe, hey, he wasn't at his best. And Slavakuski was just trying to play the long game here, see if you can trap him into that final seconds and see if you can get a lucky throw, if you will. But it's tough. Even when you are at your best, and that's in the case of Levi Haynes too. I think Jackson Turley gave Haynes his best as well, and it still wasn't enough to win. Even when you're at your best and Haynes and Greg Kirkfleet aren't at that, you're still not going to win on that given night. So Penn State secures, like I mentioned, the 35-3 victory. Looking for your comments as well. We'll talk more about this dual meet. We can also talk about Bo Bassett's recruitment as he was in attendance, and Iowa is coming to the Bryce Jordan Center next week, 1 week from this Friday. We'll talk about it more on the other side of this break. And today's show is brought to you by TalkSpace. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be challenging. That is where TalkSpace comes in. TalkSpace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With TalkSpace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours. 2 days is all it takes, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your own home, even message your therapist in between appointments. Plus, TalkSpace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize your mental health, and as a listener of this podcast, you will get $80 off your first month with TalkSpace when you go to TalkSpace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to TalkSpace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month. TalkSpace.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code SPACE80. And thank you so much for spending your Friday evening here. I mean, it's been a busy day for Penn State athletics. Penn State men's hockey, shout out to them for defeating a ranked Ohio State team in Pagula in a shootout. So it did go to overtime. They couldn't settle it there, so it went to a shootout. And then Penn State won it there. And Penn State men's basketball is going on as well. But Penn State wrestling getting the win over Rutgers. Top 15 team. And makes them look like it's a non-conference opponent at the end of the season, right? Josh Barr was on a roll. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much for that one. Again, contribute your thoughts down in the live chat if you got questions or if you want to talk about Bo Bassett in attendance. I think I'm going to pivot to that pretty soon here. But yes, Josh Barr was absolutely on a roll. And I made the joke. I think he was just bored in the first couple of periods. And he does have an important matchup 1 week away. How much do you want to show? It depends. I've heard some wrestlers say, I watch tons of film. Other wrestlers say, no, I let the coaches do what they need to do. And then I react to it from there, listen to their game plan and everything. So every wrestler is different. But Josh Barr, you almost kind of want to conceal and maybe not necessarily put too much on film. Maybe I'm overthinking it here, but he's got a big matchup there. And this is one where, Poznansky is good. He's a good wrestler, but he's no Stephen Buchanan. That's somebody that Barr is probably going to meet in the Big Ten championship, possibly an NCAA final or an NCAA semifinal or even an NCAA final. But Josh Barr is here. Those are my expectations for him, and that should be the expectations for him moving forward, generally speaking. This is not somebody that's just going to finish, he's going to get on the podium. No, he should get to the semifinal. And if things go well, should get to the NCAA championship. But that is it. The top four, I think the margin of error between those guys, Cardenas, Buchanan, Barr, and Ferrari, is very close. And I'm eager to see that class go down. The 125 is the wild, wild west. I would like to say that Luke Lilledahl is the favorite, but it's really anybody's. I think Matt Ramos is having an incredible season. I think he's taken another step forward there. So 125 is insane. Don't even try to make a prediction there. You're probably going to be wrong. It's just random at that point. So I had some thoughts about Bo Bassett because he was in attendance. His family was in attendance, right? His younger brother, Keegan Bassett. For anybody that likes the social media fun and the jokes and the memes, the Rizzler was in attendance because the Big Ten broadcast made it apparent. I didn't even know he was supposed to be there, but I was told by the Big Ten network how many times, dozens, that the Rizzler was in attendance. So if you didn't know about the Rizzler, you know about him now. But Bo Bassett was there. I honestly, the way that I look at it, just from knowing how Bo Bassett's approaching this recruitment, he doesn't want to be on this long list of, basically he's looking at his recruitment because Penn State has a dominant victory. And what I'm getting at is I don't think that mattered to Bo Bassett. If anything, that might have kind of played into how he's approaching his recruitment, where he doesn't want to be on this long historical list of great wrestlers. He wants to be a program defining, a face of a program that turns them around. And I'm not, look, Rutgers doesn't need to be turned around, but they're clearly, far and away from Penn State. And I think that's what Bo Bassett is looking for. So I still, just because of what I've heard and the way that David Taylor taking over Oklahoma State, I am expecting Bo Bassett to head to Oklahoma State. That is my prediction as we sit here in late January 2025. He's still deciding between 7 schools, and then eventually we'll eliminate one by one. But I don't think this, if you think that Penn State dominating Rutgers did something to persuade Bo Bassett that, oh, I need to join Cale Sanderson and the Nittany Lions. Look at the way they destroy opponents. I think Bo Bassett is more concerned about the individual aspect of it, and that he can be the reason that he can kind of set the bar a little higher by going to another program that just doesn't have necessarily that it factor. And Rutgers doesn't have that. Rutgers doesn't have that it wrestler, whereas Penn State has 10 of them. Penn State has 10 of them at each of the weight classes there. And I think that's what Bassett is looking for at the end of the day. Of course, also a spot where he and his brother can go. It's a double whammy. It's a package deal that if you are going to take Bo Bassett, you need to be able to find room for Keegan Bassett as well in the lineup. So I don't think Rutgers is a long shot. I would say the top 3 at the end of the day, or top 4, because you can't just discount Iowa in this case. They're going to try to do anything and everything to get a caliber of wrestler, Bo Bassett. So top 4 when all said and done: Iowa, Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Rutgers. And I really do think it is going to come down to Oklahoma State, Rutgers, and Penn State. So Rutgers is a serious player in this. I think they've recruited him well from everything that I've heard. And we had the voice of Rutgers wrestling for Big Ten Plus on Nick Costco, if you missed that show. And he gave us some good insight from Rutgers' point of view and how they're handling the recruitment there. Dominant victory, right? I mean, this is nothing that the episode that we talked about previewing this dual meet specifically was framed as, will Penn State lose any of these bouts? On any given night, Penn State can shut out an opponent. It doesn't matter if it is a lower level opponent that is just out of Penn State's league, a Wyoming that is banged up, that's a top 25 team, but they're just not on the same level, to a Rutgers, to I know Missouri, and I know Keegan O'Toole got the best of Levi Haynes, but it wasn't up until that point that Penn State was rattling off shutout victory after shutout victory. Even Iowa, yes, I will go on the record and say this, even Iowa could be prone to a shutout victory if they don't get the wins that are contested. They aren't. When I look at Iowa's side, there's no overwhelming favorites. Penn State either has, it's either a toss-up or Penn State's an overwhelming favorite in those head-to-head matchups. And we'll talk about that to finish the show. Again, contribute your thoughts to the live chat, but let's look ahead. Iowa in the Bryce Jordan Center next week, number 1 versus number 2, unless Ohio State has anything to say about it tomorrow. Those 2 teams are supposed to wrestle, the Hawkeyes and the Buckeyes. But when we come back here on the show, we'll wrap it up with Penn State versus Iowa, and any final thoughts that you have in the live chat here on this live edition of Locked On Nittany Lions. And today's show is also brought to you by Gametime. Attending the NFL playoffs is an experience like no other. Whether it's the energy, the excitement, the connection with other fans, it's all unmatched, and it is a thrill. Seeing your favorite team clinch a playoff win live, it's a memory that you'll never forget. And this season, Gametime is making it easier to create those unforgettable moments with their new feature, Gametime Picks. It filters out all the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you can focus on what matters, being there. You can use Gametime to grab tickets for an upcoming playoff game or any sporting event that you're looking forward to, and it hasn't been any easier than ever before. You'll have the super deals that are listed, and they will give you incredible value on those amazing seats, and then you can actually preview your point of view from that spot before you buy. And then there's all-in pricing. That's a game changer, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, knowing that your tickets are backed by the Gametime guarantee will give you complete peace of mind. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And bear with me here as I'm going to pull up the lineups for Penn State and Iowa real quick. Don't have them all memorized off the top of my head. But this will be the biggest challenge to date for Penn State. And it's like, finally, really, Penn State just continues to rattle off win after win after win. And it should be no different. Penn State is going to put together another solid victory. I see a couple of weight classes where, yeah, Iowa should be considered a slight favorite. For example, 133, Drake Ayala against Braden Davis. We've seen Davis struggle with that matchup in the past, just the way that Ayala's built. He's a longer, lengthier wrestler, and both of them moving up to 133 in this case. That's really the only one where I look at and say that Iowa should be strongly favored there. Kyle Parko and Shane Van Ness, that's going to be a really good one at 149. If you want to say that Kyle Parko is the favorite, I understand that based on Shane Van Ness's loss to a Ridge Lovett. But outside of that, you look at 157, Tyler Kasak's going to be the favorite in that. Tyler Kasak, I didn't give him a shout out. I should have. 3 minutes and 42 seconds of riding time. Tyler Kasak he's probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest wrestler at 157 in terms of pure overall strength. I would place bets on Tyler Kasak just being the pure strongest wrestler in that weight class. But at 165, Mitchell Messenbrink will get it done. Levi Haynes, strong favorite against Patrick Kennedy. We finally get to see, after all of that trash talk, at 184, hopefully it continues to project out that way, Carter Starachi and Gabe Arnold. Starachi, I don't know that he's been waiting for this one. I think Gabe Arnold is, because this is kind of his opportunity to say, hey, do I belong now, or am I going to have to wait my turn? And I think Carter Starachi will certainly humble him here. Of course, circle it. Stephen Buchanan against Josh Barr. That's another one of those toss-ups. I truly don't know who should be favored in that one. I've seen enough from Josh Barr to say that this guy's a national semifinalist, and I imagine that Stephen Buchanan will be right there. These are the best two in the Big Ten. I know Cardenas is there as well, but I think this is going to show us who should be considered, who's going to be that second wrestler behind AJ Ferrari going into the NCAA championships. Because whoever wins, Barr's got to follow it up against Cardenas the following week, because Penn State will host Michigan again in the Bryce Jordan Center there. But we get a lot of answers, right? There's a lot of questions or what ifs and everything else, and then this is a good test. But Penn State, Luke Lilledahl should bounce back at 125. 133 is a toss-up, but I would lean Drake Ayala. 141 is going to go to Bo Bartlett. 149 is a toss-up. Kyle Parko is going to give Shane Van Ness everything, but I'm going to side with Shane Van Ness. I think that one against Ridge Lovett was a one-off. I don't want to try to read into that too much. It was certainly surprising that Shane Van Ness did not even secure a single takedown, and then every move that he tried to make, Ridge Lovett just was on his game that day, and that's okay to say. I like Tyler Kasak at 157. I like Mitchell Messenbrink a lot at 165. We've seen him wrestle against Mikey Caliendo before, and it's not that Caliendo can't get better, it's that Mitchell Messenbrink is the clear-cut favorite at 165. Haynes at 174 should be the favorite. Carter Starachi at 184 should be the favorite. Toss-up at 197. And then Kirkfleet should be the favorite at heavyweight as well. So if anybody has any final comments, I know I'm confident in a Penn State win over Iowa, but it's a lot of toss-ups, and then maybe one or two guys should be favored for the Hawkeyes. So you give or take, Penn State should be expected to lose about, I think the worst case scenario is that Penn State wins 6 of those matches. Barr was making a statement and Luke got caught sleeping. I think that's a pretty simple way of summing it up. Also suspicious, Shane Van Ness was wrestling Levitt last week to gather intel for later in the season when it actually matters. Interesting thought that, yeah, Shane Van Ness may be wrestling a little cautiously to try to just get, and that's, but if you do that, if you say, okay, that's what Luke Lilledahl did tonight against Dean Peterson, is that you wrestled passively and you just kind of open up that opportunity for yourself to wrestle from behind, or not wrestle with the lead, more importantly. So I don't think Shane Van Ness was trying to intentionally lose. Certainly not. But against a wrestler like Ridge Levitt, you certainly can't do that. And I don't think Shane Van Ness is going to do that next week going into his matchup against Kyle Parko, because same caliber of opponent. Kyle Parko is a national title contender. A lot of these guys, I mean, this is going to be the toughest challenge here, but I still like Penn State to win solidly in this one. It's nice that it returns. It goes from Carver Hawkeye back to the Bryce Jordan Center. So it is nice that Penn State will have home arena advantage, and we'll see the best dual meet for Penn State, at least the one that's going to give them the most challenge, the biggest challenge, the most excitement of the season. And Michigan, well, won't be too far behind. I like what they have against Ohio State. So I'm going to watch that one. Iowa and Ohio State, just to get an idea, because I really do think the Buckeyes are a lot better than people might give them credit for. I think that is a dark horse. Penn State wins the NCAA championship, the team title overall. Ohio State, I think, could sneak in and possibly be that second team that people are underestimating. I know they have, right, names escaping me at the moment, but it was who Carter Starachi wrestled at the 174-pound championship a year ago. He ended up redshirting. If Ohio State was at full strength, I think that would be the second best team in the country and not Iowa. And Iowa likes to play, they wanted to play the transfer portal, and they alienated a couple of other guys that stuck with the program and gave them their all and just pushed them over to the side to try to compete with Penn State. And so be it. I don't agree with those kinds of moves, but Iowa did it anyway. So here we are, Penn State versus Iowa, the best rivalry presently in wrestling right now, in collegiate wrestling, and it will all go down next Friday, 7 p.m. in the Bryce Jordan Center. Thank you so much for joining this live edition of Locked On Nittany Lions, everybody, as Penn State defeats Rutgers 35-3. Now it's time for a real challenge against the Iowa Hawkeyes 1 week from this Friday night. If you are new to the show, we do this every day. It's the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. Subscribe to the YouTube channel wherever you get your podcasts. And we're going to have more conversations about all your favorite Penn State sports teams, more than just football. We talk about wrestling, talk about men's basketball, all right here on Locked On Nittany Lions.